My neighbor asked me to watch his house, and warned me never to open the basement. I heard him downstairs. A voice, then I heard him upstairs. Thank you, for staying. Some favors choose you. My neighbor lived 3 houses down, the kind of man you recognize more by routine than by face. He watered his lawn at dawn. He collected his mail at dusk. We nodded to each other like strangers who had agreed not to ask questions. I never knew his job. I never saw visitors. His windows were always covered, even in summer, even during the long afternoons when the sun leaned low and begged to be let inside. The day he asked me to watch his house, his voice shook like he was already somewhere else. I'll be gone a little while, he said, standing too close on my porch. Just keep an eye on things. He didn't mention pets. He didn't mention plants. He didn't mention how long a little while was. Before I could answer, he pressed a key into my hand. It was warm. Not pocket warm. Body warm. Whatever you do, he added, eyes flicking toward his own house, don't go into the basement. People say that curiosity is stronger than fear. That is wrong. Fear is stronger. Curiosity is just quieter. The first night passed without incident. I walked over, checked the doors, stood in his living room and listened to the house breathe. Old homes have a rhythm. Pipes tick. Wood sighs. This one felt like it was holding its breath. The second night, I noticed the smell. It was not rot. It was not mold. It was clean in the way hospitals are clean, sharp and sour at the same time. It clung to my clothes after I left, rode home with me, lingered in my hallway like it had learned the path. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself people are strange. On the third night, the lights were on when I arrived. I know I had turned them off. I stood there in the doorway, keys cold now, listening to the faint hum of electricity and something else beneath it. A low, wet sound, like someone whispering with a mouth full of water. Hello? I called out, feeling foolish immediately. The sound stopped. I should have left then. I should have locked the door and dropped the key through his mail slot and gone home. Instead, I stepped inside, because the house felt wrong in a way that demanded explanation. That was when I saw the notes. They were taped to the walls. Yellow paper, curling at the edges, written in the same tight handwriting over and over again. Do not listen. Do not answer. If it asks to be let out, leave. My pulse thundered in my ears as I followed the trail of notes down the hallway. They led to the basement door. The basement door I had been warned about. Something on the other side shifted its weight. And then, very softly, it spoke in my neighbor's voice. Thank you for watching the house. I stood there, hand hovering inches from the knob, understanding for the first time that this favor was never about trust. It was about replacement. And somewhere behind me, the front door clicked shut. The click of the front door locking was soft, almost polite, but it landed inside my chest like a slammed coffin lid. I did not turn around. Every instinct I had told me that if I looked away from the basement door, something would change positions. I kept my eyes fixed on the peeling paint, on the rust bleeding through the hinges, on the thin shadow underneath that pulsed as if the darkness itself were breathing. You can leave, the voice said again. My neighbor's voice. Calm. Familiar. Wrong. You just need to open the door first. I shook my head before I realized I was doing it. My mouth was dry, tongue stuck to the roof like it had decided silence was safer. The whispering began again, not words this time, just the sound of wet lips moving too close to a microphone. The basement door trembled once, gently, like a polite knock from the inside. That was when I noticed the scratches. They ran along the doorframe, deep grooves cut into old wood, layered on top of each other like tally marks made by someone who had been counting days. Some were thin, frantic. Others were wide, gouged with a strength that did not belong underground. I backed away slowly, my heel bumping into the hallway table. The sound echoed too loudly. The whispering stopped. Behind me, something creaked. I spun around. The living room was darker than it should have been, shadows stretched long and warped, pooling in corners where light refused to settle. The notes on the walls fluttered slightly, though no air moved. One of them peeled free and slid across the floor, stopping at my feet. This one was different. It said, "If you hear footsteps upstairs, hide." A footstep sounded above me. Slow. Deliberate. Heavy enough to bow the floorboards. I froze, staring at the ceiling as dust drifted down in lazy spirals. Another step followed, then another, pacing the length of a room that I knew was empty. I had never seen my neighbor's second floor occupied. No furniture. No curtains pulled back. Just dark windows and silence. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs. They stopped. Something began to descend. Each step was careful, testing, like it was learning how legs worked. The banister groaned under a grip that scraped rather than grasped. I smelled the basement again, stronger now, riding the air with a metallic edge that made my eyes water. The whispering from below turned into laughter. Two voices now. One above me. One below. Both of them his. I ran. I did not plan where. I did not think. I moved because standing still felt like consent. I ducked into the kitchen, slid across the floor, and wedged myself into the pantry, pulling the door shut just as the kitchen lights flicked on. Through the crack, I watched shadows move. The thing upstairs entered first. Its footsteps were wrong when I saw the feet. They bent too far, joints reversing themselves mid-step, toes splayed like they were still deciding what shape to be. The rest of it stayed out of sight, just a silhouette stretched along the wall, head brushing the ceiling. Then the basement door opened. The smell hit like a wave. This one walked upright. Confident. Familiar in posture and gait. It wore my neighbor's clothes, though they hung loose, as if the body underneath had been poured in rather than grown. Its face came into view, and my stomach dropped. It was his face. But it was tired. Eyes bloodshot. Skin sagging. Mouth trembling like it was holding back a scream. "Please," it said, voice breaking, looking directly at the pantry door. "It's learning. You have to leave before it finishes." The thing on the stairs tilted its head. I felt something warm slide down my wrist. I was crying silently, terrified that even the sound of breathing would give me away. The tired-faced thing took a step toward the pantry. The other answered with a step of its own, faster, heavier, excited. The lights flickered as if the house itself couldn't decide which one belonged. That was when I understood. My neighbor had not gone away. He had been replaced. And now, so was I. The pantry door creaked. Not from my side. A long finger slid through the crack, bending backward at the knuckle, nail scraping softly against the wood as if savoring the sound. I bit down on my sleeve to keep from making one of my own. Too late, the thing on the stairs said, its voice overlapping itself, syllables echoing like they were being spoken down a hallway of mirrors. He stayed. The tired-faced version of my neighbor lunged. Everything happened at once. The lights burst, plunging the kitchen into darkness broken only by moonlight spilling through the window. The pantry door flew open, and I fell forward onto the cold tile as something massive rushed past me, chasing something else that screamed with my neighbor's voice and then with a voice that was not human at all. I crawled. I didn't stand. I didn't look back. I dragged myself toward the front door as the house filled with sounds of tearing fabric, splintering wood, and laughter that bubbled like boiling water. The front door was locked. My hands slipped on the knob, slick with sweat, as something slammed into the wall behind me hard enough to knock pictures loose. One shattered beside my face, glass skittering across the floor like insects. "Use the key," the tired voice shouted. "It only opens for the chosen." Something heavy landed behind me. I felt breath on my neck, hot and damp, smelled that clean rot filling my lungs. I jammed the key into the lock. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the house screamed. Not through speakers. Not through pipes. Through the walls themselves. The key twisted on its own, metal bending like wax, and the door burst open with a force that threw me onto the porch. I didn't stop running until my lungs burned and my legs gave out 2 streets away. When I looked back, my neighbor's house was dark. Quiet. Normal. The next morning, his car was gone. So were the notes. No one believed me. Not the police. Not the other neighbors. They said he had moved. Said the house had been sold. Said maybe stress had gotten to me. I tried to forget. I almost succeeded. Until last night. There is a house key on my kitchen table. I don't remember bringing it home. It is warm. And taped to my front door, written in my handwriting, is a note that says, "Thank you for watching the house."